Hi everybody and welcome to the Flute Practice. Today I want to speak a little bit about these puppies and their hand position that you need for holding the flute. So let's go check it out. One of my personal and absolute golden rules when it comes to the hand position of the flute is roundness. Just curved, round, natural fingers. I think so often we think of flute playing as this like hideously unnatural thing, you're like all to the side and weird. And yeah, it is, I don't think we were like built to play the flute necessarily, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it and that we can't do it very naturally and easily. So I've spoken briefly in another video a little bit about our good old right hand position, and I'm just going to kind of recap. So for those of you who are starting out, you're maybe, picking up the flute for the first time, you can just follow this and hopefully kind of find it. For those of you who have got a very tight position, it is a more difficult place to be in because, you've got to kind of relearn habits if it's something that you want to do. And, by all means, I don't think there's any one single way to play the flute or hold the flute. It's just about finding what works for you. So, go check out a whole bunch of different stuff. I absolutely encourage it. Okay, waving my hand around here. So you take your hand, and what I like to just check first things first is where, if I'm kind of picking up a piece of paper or I'm just, tapping it out like this, there's like weird shadow puppetry you used to do when you were kids. Yeah, okay. I don't know, weird. But finding out on what part of the thumb does your finger kind of naturally fall. And that is kind of for me like a nice indication of where the flute could nicely sit in between there. If you can imagine that pipe just in between there nicely like that. So what I then do is I just take my flute and kind of with the little ones, talk about like the, Pac-Man face or the eating face, chomping face. And a lot of them don't know what Pac-Man is. Little ones. Okay, there we go. And I set them on there so that he is, the two fingers there line up quite nicely. Now, this, once again, this is no recipe for anybody. For some of you, it might be a little bit more there or a little bit... I don't really encourage this just in terms of, physiology of the hand and all that. We can get into that sometime. But just sitting there nicely like that. And keeping this thumb not bent back and pushing up because he doesn't need to. He can just relax there. And in fact, the curved structure of the thumb is, some of the most solid. For those that have got these like, nice bendy backward tabletop thumbs that go like this, in my experience from people that have got it, it is more comfortable just to kind of leave the thumb there. Basically, you want to check that this muscle is not getting unnecessarily tight. So if this muscle is like getting tight like it is now, you might want to just find something else. So for me, this is like very ideal. For this muscle, it stays nice and loose and relaxed and just, chilled out. Then, moving around to the other side over here, I've got these fingers, which I try and keep these all nice and curved. And this means I'm not moving my hand over like this, but rather bringing it around like that. The fingers kind of almost like I think like a fork, kind of approach. I don't know why I think of a fork, but kind of approaching the flute like that. Great. And my most important thing, really most important thing, is this baby finger, which I like to keep absolutely curved nicely like this. And really try to keep it curved at all times because it has got so much more power when you do this. And I think one of the simplest kind of methods you can use for your students, if you're teaching or for yourself, if just to show the power of curved fingers as opposed to flat fingers. If pressing down with flat fingers on your flute like this or on your leg or arm or whatever it is, you can feel how much strength you've got in that hand and how much muscle tension it kind of takes all the way up here. Curve your fingers like this and now press on that flute and you can immediately feel how much more power there is in that hand. It is, for me, it's quite phenomenal. And wouldn't you like that power, while playing the flute? And of course, freedom of fingers. So flat, straight fingers, lots of tension, often. Not always, not for everybody, but the second you make your fingers nice and round, they are much more agile, much quicker, much freer, and as we mentioned, much more powerful. So this is generally the position that I really like. I've spent a lot of time developing the hand, and you know, sometimes the weirdest little habits creep in, and then I kind of got to reassess and I got to work out. Or I'd be playing a long concert and my hand's kind of going, you know, straighter and straighter, and my pinky's kind of like, oh. So it's, you know, it's very much a work in progress all the time, all your life. You are constantly reassessing and, you know, messing around with what you're doing. Okay, going to your left hand position. Now, my favorite kind of analogy that I like to have for this is thinking of holding, I've got a sock here, which I've got for a very specific reason, but I will get there. But a ball or a sock or something, just take something in your hand and just hold it. Just cuddle it. And just feel how that feels to, you know, have your fingers nicely wrapped around this round shape, not squeezing it, but just gently wrapped around like that. Your thumb, all your fingers, just really a nice round feeling. And that is really the feeling that you want when holding this guy. So you want to imagine almost like there is this ball over here in here, and all these fingers, once again, you can see they're completely round, these fingers. And the thumb, look, once again, you know, we all have different thumbs, and you don't want to do what is comfortable and what is natural. For me, my thumb is sort of naturally curved. I wouldn't say, it's definitely not bent, it's not that. So I stand by the fact that, you know, you shouldn't be bending a thumb like that, but it certainly is a natural kind of a round shape. Once again, really this feeling of having the ball. And this finger here is not leaning back like this. So generally where I'm positioning the flute is kind of just above on that knuckle. Over there. And keeping this line nicely intact all the way down here. So that I'm not getting this overarching or overextended joint like that. But rather that nice inline joint right there. Super. And then these fingers nice and round. What you can do to help you find this is to actually start backwards. And you start with the G sharp key over here. You put your baby finger on there and keep it round. And then you put down your ring finger, your middle finger, and your index finger. And then only bring the hand up to wherever it meets the flute, wherever that is, so that you get this, once again, this straight shape there, or straightish shape. And then to tap the thumb a few times, just feeling what actually feels comfortable and natural. You don't want to be squishing it back like that. This is very bad news for all these muscles. Tension, tension, tension. So you want to open that up. Sometimes to my students, I kind of say to them, you know, imagine there's like a little mouse peeping in there. And sorry. And this is where my sock comes in handy. This wonderful ball. What I sometimes do, and what I have done with some students, and even with myself, is to put that sock in there. So you really have that feeling of holding this ball, or the sock in there. And what's really nice about something that's a bit more malleable is you can kind of squish it into the, you know, parts. You can even start with holding the sock, getting that feeling, and then bringing the hand to the flute like that. That's also quite nice. Just to feel that, and really, and even play like that a bit. It will feel weird. It feels very weird. Very weird, and I take it away. I'm going to give you a slightly different angle on this. And as you can see, really, this is just, you know, round. These muscles aren't overextending or arching or doing any funny things, but it feels, to me, honestly, and I know I have worked on this a lot, but it feels very natural and easy and, you know, free. And I think that's what we want in music, isn't it? We want to be able to make music that just feels effortless and easy and wonderful. Play around with it, have some fun with it, experiment, and remember, it's part of the journey, it's part of the process. If you have any questions or comments, or perhaps, you know, you have some other really great ideas as to what you can do with your hands, please post it below, or write on our Facebook page, or tweet us. Have fun, enjoy experimenting, and see you next time. Happy practicing, everyone.